If you're studying aviation management or cabin services, you've probably wondered why an industry that moves at the speed of sound seems to be buried under a mountain of paperwork. Well, today we're going to cut through all that. We'll show you how that paperwork is actually the secret to running a safe and really efficient airline. So let's get into it. It really feels like a contradiction, doesn't it? You have these incredibly fast jets, and then piles and piles of documents. But here's the thing you have to understand. That documentation isn't slowing things down. It's actually the engine that makes precision, safety, and consistency possible on every single flight. So let's stop thinking of it as paperwork and start calling it what it is, the airline's blueprint for excellence. All right, so what's our flight plan for this explainer? First, we're going to redefine paperwork into what it really is, a quality management system. Then, we'll look at the blueprint for how that system is built. After that, we'll explore the airline's master navigational map, the quality manual, and see how big ideas become daily practice. And finally, we'll land on what's maybe the most important part, what your role is in all of this. Okay, first stop. Let's really get past this idea of just paper for paper's sake and talk about what's actually happening behind the scenes. We're talking about something called a quality management system, or QMS for short. So, what is a QMS, really? Honestly, think of it as the airline's DNA. It's the fundamental code that makes sure every single thing that happens, from a simple welcome announcement to a super complex engine check, is done right every time. It's the airline putting its promise in writing, saying, this is our commitment to being the best, and here's exactly how we do it. And this is where it gets really interesting. A QMS isn't just about safety. I mean, safety is absolutely number one, of course, but a really good QMS is also obsessed with the customer experience, with making operations smoother, hitting business goals, and this part is crucial, it's always looking for ways to get better. It's a living, breathing thing, not some dusty rule book sitting on a shelf. Okay, so if the QMS is the overall framework, how is it actually built? How does it all fit together? Well, that brings us to the documentation blueprint, the actual structure that gives the whole system its shape. This breaks it down perfectly. Think of it like a pyramid. At the very top, you've got the big why. That's the quality manual. That's the vision. That then flows down to the how, the procedures that manage the process. Then you get into the real nitty-gritty, the details of every single task in the work instructions. And at the bottom, you have the proof, the records and forms that show it all got done exactly the way it was supposed to. It's a perfect chain from top to bottom. So let's climb to the top of that pyramid and talk about that top-level document, the quality manual. You have to understand, this isn't just another binder. This is the airline's North Star. I just love this analogy, a master navigational map. It sets the course, it shows the boundaries, it's the one document that the entire operation, from the executive offices right down to the cabin crew, functions within. It just makes sure everyone is flying in the same direction, using the same chart. So what's actually on this map? Well, first, it sets the scope, what parts of the airline it covers, like in-flight services. It's also like a master index, pointing you to the exact manual you need for a specific task, like the catering manual. And here's where it gets really smart. It maps how everything connects. The gate agent's boarding process is the input for the cabin crew's seating process. It's all one fluid system. And maybe most importantly, it makes it crystal clear who is in charge of what. No gray areas. A great plan is one thing, right? But what happens when the theory meets reality at 30,000 feet? Let's talk about how all this documentation actually becomes a practical tool in the middle of a busy day. First principle, and it's a big one, work smarter, not harder. A good QMS doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. If the airline already has a fantastic, effective cabin crew operations manual, you don't throw it out and start over. No way. You simply bring that manual into the system, you reference it, and you make it the one official source of truth everyone works from. Oh man, this one is so important. The documentation has to match the real world. Just imagine this. The manual has a perfect diagram showing how to stow the galley carts. But the airline just got new planes, and the galley is totally different. That diagram is now physically impossible to follow. That's not just a small problem, that's a system failure. And let's be really clear about this. That's not a minor hiccup. A procedure that doesn't reflect reality is a broken promise to the crew. It completely undermines their training and their expertise. For the system to work, the documentation has to be a mirror of how the job is actually done. And finally, the best documentation is smart. It respects professionals. It knows you're highly trained. So it's not going to waste your time with a 20-step guide on how to pour a soda. Instead, it trusts you and focuses its detail on the really high-stakes stuff: emergency evacuations, medical protocols, complex service, the times when every single second and every step has to be perfect. So let's bring this all in for a landing. What does this all mean for you as you're preparing to step into your career in aviation? If you take away one thing today, please let it be this. This system is not designed to please auditors. It's designed for you. It's the framework, the toolkit that empowers you to do your job safely, consistently, and with total confidence, no matter what the day throws at you. And that leads us to the final and I think most exciting thought. This system isn't finished. It's not set in stone. It's constantly evolving. And you, the next generation of aviation professionals, you're the ones who are going to shape its future. You won't just be following the procedures, you'll be the ones improving them. So ask yourself, how are you going to make aviation even safer tomorrow? Thanks so much for joining us.